Was history a record of facts, or just a version of the past that survived? And what is mythology? A cultural treasure, or a beautiful lie we stop questioning? In a world shaped by stories, how do we separate what happened from what we were told happened? Welcome to Question Freely, where belief meets evidence, and everything can be questioned. All right, let's talk about history, the real history. Not the stories your grandma told you, not the myths wrapped in miracles. I'm talking about stuff we can actually prove. History is evidence. Simple as that. If we say a civilization existed, it's not because someone wrote about it in a holy book. It's because we've literally dug up their buildings, tools, skeletons. We've tested things, dated them, connected dots using science, archaeology, anthropology, even genetics. That's the difference. History isn't just storytelling. It's detective work. Now here's the problem. A lot of people can't tell where history ends and mythology begins. They hear a myth enough times, and suddenly it becomes our history, even if there's not a shred of evidence to back it up. But no matter how emotional or ancient a story is, if there's no proof, it's just a story. History stands on facts. Mythology stands on belief. Now let's talk about mythology in detail. Mythology is storytelling. That's all it is. It's a mix of imagination, tradition, and belief, created in a time when people didn't have the tools to explain the world through logic or science. But over time, something strange happened. These myths were repeated so much, written down, passed through generations, that people started confusing them with real history. Take Christianity, for example. Talking snakes, a global flood, a man walking on water. Zero evidence. But billions of people take it as historical truth. Islam has its own stories, and Muslims present them as facts. Flying horses, splitting moons, talking ants. Again, no archaeology, no anthropology, no physical proof. But say that out loud, and suddenly you're disrespecting beliefs. That's the trick. Belief hides behind emotion, not evidence. People grow up with these stories. They hear them from family, school, media. They're never taught to question. And by the time they're old enough to think, it feels too dangerous to doubt. But mythology isn't evil. It shows how creative and curious we've always been, trying to explain the stars, the storms, life, death. The problem only starts when we treat myths like facts, when we let belief stand in the place of proof. Because the moment mythology replaces history, truth dies, and that should bother all of us. So, how can you tell what's real history and what's just myth? It's simple evidence. History leaves behind a trail. Ruins, bones, tools, writings, coins, even DNA. Stuff you could touch, dig up, test, carbon date. Mythology leaves behind stories. No fossils of flying horses. No satellite images of Noah's Ark. No ancient scrolls showing a sea splitting in two. Just poetic verses and oral traditions. Ask yourself this. If the story disappeared, could we still prove it happened? If the answer is no, it's probably mythology. Historians use logic, science, cross-referencing. They question everything. They want to be proven wrong, because that's how truth survives. But myths? They demand belief. They say, just have faith, and that's your biggest red flag. If something can't survive without belief, it was never a fact to begin with. What's the takeaway? History is messy, imperfect, and full of gaps, but it's real. It's grounded in what we can find, test, and challenge. It doesn't ask you to believe, it asks you to think. Mythology is beautiful, symbolic, even inspiring at times. But it's not evidence. It's not fact. And confusing it with history is not just wrong, it's dangerous. Because when we build our understanding of the world on made-up stories, we stop asking questions. And remember, you have the right to question. If you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. But more importantly, keep questioning.